Hi, I'm Erin from the Witch of Saturn. Welcome back to my channel. This is my January 2026 wrap up, which I can't believe that January is already coming to an end. I'm also, happy to see it go because January has just been a really challenging month, personally, nationally, globally. I think that astrologically, it's the ramp up to things really coming to a peak in February. So we'll see how that all goes. It's like a whole another level next month. But there were some things in January that I do want to celebrate. One of them being that I hit 500 subscribers to my channel. I'm so very grateful to all of you for this community that we share and for watching and interacting with me and supporting me. And thank you so much. That was huge. That was, and that happened at a time where I really needed it. I was having a difficult time as I was becoming more aware of my own neurodivergence and self-diagnosing that through a period of true burnout where I just really need to focus. I really needed to focus on the light and the positive things that were happening in the small mundane wins just to get through the day. So again, thank you so much. It was truly appreciated and needed. And I'm just so grateful to be here with you. The other thing that was cool in January was that I did my first community tag, which is called #PBJanuaryDecks. And this was about pairings that go together like peanut butter and jelly. That's been really fun. Thank you to everyone who participated in the tag and to everyone who watched those videos. Yeah, let's get into the rest of January. So every year I do a year ahead spread. I've been doing this for years now, and I pull a card for every month, lay them out in a circle, and I also pull a card for the overall theme of the year. And this is the card that I got for my theme of 2026. For my year ahead, I use the Felt Tarot by Sawyer, and part of why I used this deck is because of the colored borders so that I could clearly see the energy of each month, each year, and then also because I will then get the digital image, the art image from Jamie, and put it on my phone each month as a reminder of which card's energy I'm in. January for me has been King of Pentacles, which has shown up in a couple of ways. It's shown up for me financially and making some investments into my business, and also in feeling, you know how like in the King of Pentacles in the Rider-Waite, the earth is kind of like overgrown, like he's almost become part of the earth. He's like so grounded, and I just really connected to that particular, let me see if I can find it. Here's the King of Pentacles in this deck. So like he's literally become the grapes, right? And I've felt that in January in not like oh, I'm so grounded and rooted, but almost in a contracted type of way of being like overtaken by something kind of like growing and binding me in just very interesting type of energy that I've been trying to like work through and work with. So I always love doing a year ahead and really sitting with the energy of the card for a full month and seeing the different facets and the ways that it shows up for me. This has been one of the practices that I would say has taught me the most about each card. To just see through the lens of that card for an entire month and to look at my life experiences through that particular archetype has been so powerful. I'm currently doing a Marseille study with Shanna of Sincerely Shanna D and Jay of Iridescent Tarot, and it's been really great to get back into studying and learning. I thought that I would just take you through some of the decks that I have been using for this practice. The main deck I've been using is the Bacus Tarot by Mundi, and I have said before, and I will continue to say multiple times, how much I love this deck. I think it's so beautiful. I think it's one of the most beautiful decks I own. I have it printed on the Eco Herbage cardstock from MPC, and I think the experience of handling and using this deck contributes to it being one of the most, or if not the most beautiful deck in my collection, because the artwork and the colors combined with the sensation of using the deck is just cannot be beat, and I have been really loving using this deck. I also purchased the Tarot des Ozarks by LaPage. This is another print on demand deck, and have been really enjoyed using this. I love this this representation of kind of like a Black Madonna here. That's been a major theme for me that's come through this month that I'll touch on later on, but I just think that the artwork in this deck is so beautiful. I've enjoyed using it side by side with a more traditional deck that I'll show you next. I've been doing a week ahead spread using a Marseille deck. So I've been pulling cards for the week ahead with this deck and then laying out the corresponding cards with the more traditional deck to compare and contrast the color story and see what the two different decks have to say about the same cards. So these are the two traditional decks that I purchased for this study and for my collection. The first is the Tarot Pierre Madenie of 1709. This is a reproduction by Yves Reynaud, and I absolutely love this deck. I also got the CBD Tarot by Dr. Yoav Ben-Dov because this is the corresponding book that we're using for the study, and I like having this deck to kind of study off of. So this is the Madenie, and you can see that it's a traditional Marseille color palette, obviously, but I do like that it's not too clean. I'm really happy with this deck. In particular, this card kind of sold me on it because there's something about their faces that I really like. I think that sometimes Marseille faces can be creepy, and I like these in this deck very much. So I'm super happy with this purchase and have been really enjoying this particular deck. This is the CBD, which you could see is like a very clean, very clean graphics. Doesn't look hand painted the same way that the Madenie does, which was important to me to have something that kind of, showed that block printed imperfect style. But I like that this really gives you a clear idea of the traditional colors that were used, and I've been using this in my notes for the study, which I will show you now. So I am a pretty prolific note taker. I process through writing, and like my notebooks of the astrology courses that I've taken, my astrology studies, or some of my prized possessions. And I have quite a few tarot notebooks as well. So I started this new notebook for our study. And as you can see, I just take a ton of notes. But I've been using the CBD I've been photocopying the CBD cards and scaling them down so that I can cut them out and paste them into my notebook and kind of see the full picture of the suit and study each card individually. So that's been really fun, and this has been a throwback to one of my first tarot journals. You can see I have like stickers from the Wild Unknown, and here is the sticker that came with my Pocket of Pierre's deck that has me as the Hanged One, which is also, you know, very interesting that you know, here I am all these years later, like the theme of my year still being this exact vibe. But you can see in this notebook that I had done the same thing. This was before I even knew that you could buy stickers of the RWS, and instead I would just photocopy my deck that I was using at the time, which was the Radiant Rider-Waite, to line, you know, to study the majors and see the 3 lines and how that story unfolds. So it does feel like doing this for the Marseille practice has reawakened my old methods of studying tarot, which has been really fun. For my January card of the week practice, I primarily used Seasons of the Witch Winter Tarot. This was a deck that my husband bought me for Christmas this year, and I was just vibing with it so much for most of January. So the first pairing that I did with this deck was Seasons of the Witch Imbolc Oracle, which I really liked doing because, as I've mentioned before, I don't use Seasons of the Witch as standard oracles. So I was really excited to give that a try, and I really liked the way that these two worked together and looked together. Obviously, they have the same artist and one of the same authors, and I just think that they look great together and they worked really well. And I was just really happy with this pairing. Like, look at how beautiful this is with incense, Ace of Winter Pentacles, and just, I don't know, this light, right? Light in the darkness has been a big theme for me this month, and I found that my practices and the decks that I was drawn to really showed that. The next deck that I paired with Seasons of the Winter Witch was the Folklore Oracle by Giada Rose and Hadas Knox. And Giada Rose is the other author that did some of the Seasons of the Witch oracles, and I thought that these just looked great together. I also liked with this particular oracle to be able to really get into the guidebook to see kind of what some of the folkloric tales were that are pictured here. I also liked the question, whose voices are raised alongside of yours, with Master of Winter Cups? How can you cultivate a friendship with the unseen? How do you get to fairyland with 6 of Pentacles? Oh, look how great this looks. The Ace of Winter Swords with how can you integrate logic and intuition? Divination. 10 of Wands, what joy is knocking on your door? Like, just this reminder, right? To connect with joy, to put down those burdens that we carry. Four of Winter Swords, where might your mind fly when untethered? Can you rest and meditate to get to that space of mental flight and awareness? The Winter Lovers, to make a choice to shape something new or cut away excess. Like, I just really loved these. Look how pretty this looks. Master of Winter Swords, where is your heart at home? The last oracle that I paired this deck with was the Witch's Shadow Work Oracle by Clare Gogerty. This is also illustrated by Tijana Lukovic, who did the illustrations for most of the Seasons of the Witch oracles, as well as the Seasons of the Witch Winter Tarot. Of course, these look great together because it is the same artist, and I did like working with the more shadow archetypal themes alongside this Winter Tarot, kind of, again, this theme of addressing the shadow, of leaning into the darkness, and of remembering to hold dearly the light. Look at this, with them both looking in the same direction, and this repetitive image of an orb, of the sun or the moon. I mean, you can see that repeated here too. I love this winter devil. Oh, so much. More of that happening here. I just think they're gorgeous. This eye in the landscape, and the same thing here with this animal that is the earth itself. So good. Then I decided to switch it up a little. So something unexpected that happened at the beginning of the month was that I did get a chance to purchase some out-of-print decks that have been on my list for quite some time, that I was so happy to be able to just happen upon and find. And one of them was the Phenomena Oracle by Jessica Bott. I love this oracle, and I'm a huge fan of the Cracked Amethyst Tarot, also by Jessica Bott. So once I got this, I needed to pair them together, and I used them in my week ahead. I love that this just shows these, natural processes that happen with weather-related events like the sun and snow. We've got the Hierophant and Tide, Justice with Sundog, Two of Cups and Crystallize. Oh, look at this Hanged Man with the sun. This is just so beautiful to me, and I just really connect with both of these decks. Come on. Come on. So good. Decompose, Knight of Stones. Look at this with the bullseye and then the web. Like, oh. The Empress and Fire. It's like so powerful. This, when I think of Empress, I think of like this lush forest, but also there's something that's so, this natural occurrence of forest fires to burn away the overgrowth and create this process of decomposition to nourish and give nutrients back to the soil. Look at that, King of Stones and Geyser. This has made me so happy. I'm still using this. I'm into my second week with it, and it's definitely not getting old yet. I want to give a shout out to Kate over at Moonflower Moments for her challenge that she's been doing this month called Back to My Roots. And I have been lightly participating, in the way that is manageable for me in my practice right now by using the Wild Unknown tarot again. The Wild Unknown was my second tarot deck, but it was really the one that got me into tarot in a deeper way. And it was so interesting to come back to this deck because I really haven't read with it since I moved on from it. There was a time when I felt like I had gotten everything that I could from this deck, and what I really needed to do was just devote my attention to learning the RWS inside and out. And after stopping practicing with the Wild Unknown, I really just used RWS for years. And it was wild to come back to this practice as a experienced and seasoned reader now. I was playing around with this deck for years before I even really understood what I was doing, and to now be like a professional tarot reader and to go back to it was really cool. I do have to say that I was pretty shocked that I even stuck with this deck for as long as I did because of the guidebook. When I read the guidebook definitions of the cards now, I'm kind of I don't know, it gave me a little cringe. It was so pigeonholed, but I do love the artwork so much in this deck, and I'm so grateful to it for its place in my past. And it was really fun to re-experience that and to take it out and to just get back to my tarot roots. So So thank you so much, Kate. What a great challenge. Nail polishes. So the first nail polish I used in January was this Cirque Colors Mango Jelly, which I wanted to kind of look like orange juice or remind me of sunlight, something bright and cheerful. And honestly, all it did was remind me of egg yolk. So this one was like a fail. Next, I used these two colors. I used this Midnight Phase by Cracked, which is a really, really dark navy blue, and this Thin Ice magnetic topper over top that just really, I mean, this is kind of like Seasons of the Witch tarot in nail polish form. The next polish that I used was a new one that I got in by Pahlish called Melt Ice. This was really the first anti-ice fundraiser polish that came out. Most other brands have joined this kind of movement in donating funds to various families. This one went to the family of Reynaud and different organizations based primarily in Minneapolis to abolish ice. And then now I have on this Fool Me One Coat Black Cracked polish with That's How the Light Gets In over top. This polish has these, like, they're called flakies, but I call them chunks in it, which is, you know, I'm not really sure how I feel about, or they're not my favorite, but something about this one really spoke to me, especially with this theme has been so big for me lately that I thought it was really fitting. Got to hang out with Jamie Sawyer this month. She's one of my best friends, and man, considering everything that I've been going through this month with just really kind of almost like this, it feels kind of like a crisis of identity, but in a very positive way, where I'm like, oh, I'm understanding myself through a different lens now of being able to kind of name my neurodivergence and to put my entire life into perspective. So much of this has come up through parenting my oldest daughter and recognizing that she is on the spectrum and moving forward in trying to get her a formal diagnosis and really being like, oh, well, I completely understand her because I am exactly the same way. And like, holy shit, oh, you mean not everyone's brain works like this? Not everyone's nervous system is wired this way? Like, wow. And I just bring that up because, man, Jamie's been a rock through this process, and Jamie, I love you. Thank you so much. It's really important to have friends who show up for us and support us unconditionally, and it's really special when you have that. And so I got to see Jamie and one of our other friends. I'm gonna see her again this weekend, super fun, and she brought me goodies because we trade every month astrology, and she gives me fun, amazing things. And so these are her Words Are Spells buttons that are just these really cool. She painted all of these rocks. So these are all rocks that she painted with particular words on them, and she wanted to make them into an oracle without, you know, having a bag of rocks. And so she photographed all of the rocks and turned them into a couple different oracles. You can get them printed on MPC if you want them in card form, but I love them as these buttons. I love their little round nature. They're super light and fun. And so it's kind of like, you know, kind of the same kind of theme as her tiles, but more affordable and just like a different medium. The other thing that Jamie gave me were these Sawyer's Path tiles, which is kind of hard to see that they are sparkly. They have sparkly stars, laminate over top of them. They are fantastic. And this was kind of like, basically this is the culmination of a seed that I threw at Jamie, this idea of like, you know, wanting glittery decks, being inspired by Carol Herzer's glittery decks and Tarot Collectibles Stars Edition decks. And it resulted in these tiles. That's like the thing about Jamie, is that I'll be like, I really want a sparkly deck. And then before you know it, she's freaking making these awesome tiles. Like, you just never know where her mind is going to take something, and it is so fun to watch play out, and I love these. Another really big part of my practice this month was this pairing of these Blue Bones Oracle by Rose Bay with the Blue Earth Tarot by Allison Davies. And gosh, I have just been really sinking into the pairings of these two decks. I think that they go so well together, which I'm so happy about because I've been looking for the right pairing for these Blue Bones, and I've found it in the Blue Earth. I think that they, like the Weight of the World with the Star, have just really been able to, the Way Out and Temperance, to hold space for me this month with my emotional experience and with really trying to take care of my nervous system. The Rose and her Thorns with Four of Wands. That hold on, we got to talk about this. There are no sweeter words than this. Nothing lasts forever with Nine of Swords. Like, so powerful. What a message. I just, like, your anxieties and fears are fleeting. You can feel them and know that it won't be forever. So I have been very grateful that they have been able to hold space for me. Look at this. And the way the imagery kind of plays off of each other has just been really powerful. Personal Tonic and Death. I just think that this pairing is so deep and has this capacity to really witness and hold space and to assist in emotional process and understanding, and just I love it. So this was part of the inspiration behind my January decks hashtag, because there are sometimes you come across a pairing that just like takes each deck on its own and what it has to offer and elevates it, and that's what I have found in my practice with these two. Also, look at how cute this bag is that I got from Krista at Krista Chronicles for the Blue Earth. I love it. I am still doing my new moon and full moon readings through the lens of the tarot, so be sure to check those out if you are at all interested in astrology and the crossover between astrology and tarot, or you just want to know what to anticipate and expect for the energy of these lunations. Okay, two more big parts of my practice in January. The first is this oracle, Remembering I Am Light. This oracle has been the cornerstone of my entire practice since I got this deck in, and I'm so grateful for it. I do a whole walkthrough of this deck up on my channel, and as soon as I saw it, I knew I had to have it because of the whole theme of remembering I am light and coming back to that divine spark that exists in each of us. And so I've been pairing this oracle primarily, I've been pairing it with a couple of decks. I've been pairing it with the Majestic Earth Tarot, but mainly I've been using these two print-on-demand decks, Naturescapes Tarot and the Tarot of Architectural Objects. These are both by the same creator. Her name's Tina. She goes by Queen of Wands on Instagram, and I just love these decks together so much. They have not left my reading space or been put away at all. And I do find that they kind of they each bring something different. I've only used them a couple of times as like a throuple like this, but just in the interest of kind of just showing you the beauty of these decks together. Ace of Cups, Release, and Temperance. Death and the Moon with Receive. The Star, Life, King of Pentacles. The Tower, I see, and the Fool, right? This flash of a strike of insight that's forever life-changing. Now changes the way that you see something, and you begin this new journey or adventure. Like, it just really resonates with me. I like naturescapes with this deck because it brings in the natural world and these beautiful landscape images that just really I find so soothing and speak to my soul and really give me this sense of awe and understanding of the tarot through these archetypes that we see in nature. And then I really like this deck with tarot of architectural objects because there's something about this like very human creation and experience of being a part of a civilized world in remembering my place in it and the way that these structures can communicate. Like, I just love this Four of Swords. It's just so, look at how striking these are together with the same shape of the cross that we can find in, just out in the world. Look at this. These two decks really tend to mirror each other for me. Do you see it? And I just find that the readings are just really profound. Like Six of Swords in transition. Judgment and Curious. It's been such a big part of my practice. It's kind of hard to put into words. Make sure you follow my Instagram if you want to see some pictures of my work with these decks. I share a lot of my readings on my Instagram. And then the last part of my practice, which has been highly unexpected, has been this practice centering around the divine feminine and the goddess, and diving into the archetype of the Black Madonna. And for this work, I have been using the Ritual Tarot in my daily practice. I do have the marked edition, and I did back the new Kickstarter that Tierra May did for this deck. I've used this deck many times before, but not in this way. It has come alive for me. I have reached a new understanding of this deck. I feel as though I get it, I'm plugged into it. I also created a whole new altar space in my house. I'll see if I can put a picture of that up here. And this deck now lives there. There's a couple of decks that have migrated to live at the altar, which is funny because they are now living on the shelf where all of my tarot decks used to live, but then I took them all out and brought them down here into my office once the construction on my house was complete and my office was done. And now I just think it's funny that there are quite a few that are now living back up there. But anyway, this is an evolving part of my practice that I feel very deeply connected to right now, and I'm very interested to explore. I hope to share more of that with you because just part of my goal with my channel here is just to share my love of tarot, my practices, to connect with people in our community, and to deepen my own connection to my practice and to just share that out in the world. So thank you so much for being here. I know that January has been tough on so many levels, and that February is going to continue to be pretty rocky. So let's lean into each other and know that we are not alone. And I think that that's something that's really evident in our tarot practice in general, to know that we're not alone, that there is a connection to something greater, to either a greater part of ourselves or to some greater mystery out there, or collective consciousness, or divine spirit, or higher power, whatever you may call it. But yeah, at the end of the day, we're here together, and we can all remind each other and do our best to remember that we are light. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you again soon. Bye.